is News Talk.
Now, you're welcome back. We spent a lot of that news round talking about Corkness. We're moving on to the people of Offaly now because they're celebrating again All-Ireland success, under-20 All-Ireland football champions. On Sunday, they beat Roscommon. First win at that grade since the All-Ireland under-21 of 1988, no less. Just to give you a sense of the excitement, and they were lovely scenes at Croke Park, here is the co-captain, and it's Kieran Dolan, and he's speaking on Midlands 103, and he's chatting to Brian Gavin. Have a listen.
I don't know how to describe it at all. I don't think it's going to sink in for a few years with the way we're feeling at the moment. The Leinster hasn't even sunk in for a lot of lads. So this, I don't know, I can't explain how we're feeling. Just amazing, I suppose. Seeing all the fans was amazing. The thousands, 10,000 probably of them. It's great to see.
And such excitement and such passion out there, not alone from the players, but the support, as you said, the support today Offaly had.
Yeah, the Offaly chants. You didn't hear any Roscommon chants, you know. The Offaly fans fairly drowned them out, and they probably had equal numbers. Yeah, the fans were just amazing today.
What does this mean for you personally, Kieran, going forward?
Well, it just makes me feel like we can use this as a stepping stone. You know, we've so many lads here that could go on and play senior for Offaly. So going forward, try and use it as a stepping stone and try win a Leinster or something with Offaly seniors in the next 10 years, 5 years. Be definitely a target for us.
There you are, Kieran Dolan speaking afterwards to Brian Gavin. So very happy to say that we have the County Board Chairman with us, All-Ireland winner himself, of course, back in the day. Michael Duignan, great to have you on.
Yeah, Joe, thanks very much. Yeah, lovely introduction there.
No, it's lovely, and it was nice to see the excitement on Sunday. And so we have the senior hurlers who won the Christie Ring, and they're back in Division 1. We have the senior footballers back in Division 2 for the first time in 2006. Last year we had the minors, both in the football and hurling, reached the Leinster final. First time that's happened since the 80s. So, I mean, this is getting out of control now. Split Offaly in two is the next call.
yeah. We're nearly split in two as it is with this North and South Offaly. But no, it's look, it is. It's great. It's great to be back competing. I suppose the biggest thing I see is that there's pride back in the jersey, and that all these great young men want to play for their county, and they're totally committed. We have great management teams. We have a load of people in the background, volunteers in the county board and management, stewards, volunteers all over in our clubs. And just the sense out there is that everybody is working together for the betterment of Offaly. There's a great spirit in the county. Great buzz and excitement, obviously, coming up there. But even before that, there's a lot of people putting their shoulder to the wheel. And I suppose, look, I'm the figurehead, but there's a lot of people in the background working really, really hard. So, look, it's great, and it's tough going at times, but it's very rewarding when you see scenes like last Sunday, which, you know, maybe a lot of people said to me that didn't think they'd ever see them again. That they thought they'd never see Offaly win All-Ireland again. No, I believed we would. I'd be telling you live, I said I thought it was going to be this soon, but I wouldn't be in the job if I didn't think we could compete at the highest level. But we probably didn't see it happening so quickly, and what it meant to the people of Offaly, young and old, was incredible to see. I won't name people now, but like to see men. There's one great supporter locally in Tullamore. He's over 80 years of age, and the tears flowing down his face when he met me last Sunday night. And you know, just as I said, didn't think to see it again. And credit to the young lads, their manager Declan Kelly, all his background team. They're great Offaly men. There's 7 of them involved there, and they're very passionate guys. And they brought that onto the field, and they played a lovely style of football, great attacking football. So we're very, very proud of them.
Just as an aside, you know, you mentioned that supporter in his 80s, tears in his eyes. You've been around sport a long time. You've been around Offaly sport a long time. What do you think is it that prompts a fella in his 80s who's probably very reserved emotionally otherwise, and I'm just stereotyping, you know, that generation a touch, but it applies to lots of us, very reserved otherwise, wouldn't be crying, wouldn't be telling people he loved them left, right and centre. What is it about sport, and I suppose in particular, you know, your own county and sport which represents you? What is that, do you think, that seems to just touch people in ways that so many other things in life can't?
I think it's love of place, first of all, loving your county, loving where you come from. You know, we all have good days and bad days with our own county, but I would have always felt growing up as a young fella that there was something very unique about Offaly. You know, so I was born in '68, so by 1980, or the early 70s, I wouldn't remember the footballers winning the All-Irelands, but by 1980, when Pádraig Corran captained Offaly to win their first Leinster, I was 12 years of age. They won the All-Ireland in 81, in hurling 82 in football. And all the great players we had, I think the way they played, there was a great energy about Offaly, and there was something, the All-Irelands that we won, like Seamus Darby's last goal, Johnny Dooley's penalty against Limerick in 94. There was something about it, and I think it gave Offaly people a great sense of identity, to be, great pride in themselves that we could be that good at, for a very small county to win All-Irelands in both codes. I think it gives the people of Offaly, a lot of people, and this particular man I was talking about is a very successful businessman. I'd say it gave people that belief in themselves to go and do things and to believe. And sport can do it. Like I don't know. It's just to me, it's been the most important thing in my life. Family obviously is first, but from a young age up along and wanting to play for Offaly, and I think as I say, achieving that sort of success does make a difference. And to be able to go to Croke Park last Sunday, and I think this is what this team made, why everybody got behind them so much, to go again, and they didn't just. Laz Malloy, who was doing the co-commentary with Brian Gavin, I think he said something like, they didn't win it playing shite football. So, I don't think I could say that now on RTE doing the commentary next Sunday. But Laz got away with it on the local radio. But you know the point I'm making. It was kind of swashbuckling type of stuff.
Well, swashbuckling is the word. I mean, I think of your bunch in the 90s, and there's a swashbuckling kind of quality there.
Yeah, a bit of a swagger and a bit of confidence, and it's great to be able to carry that onto the field and nearly be cocky and and in a nice way, and then come off the field and to go into those lads and see how grounded they were. The dressing room was so calm after the game, right, as if we expected to do this, and now we've done it, and now we'll move on. And you heard Kieran Dolan saying there, want to go and play for Offaly. A lot of lads in there want to go and play for Offaly, and then I guarantee within a week or two they'll enjoy their celebrations now, and rightly so. But they're back with their clubs this weekend. There's Senior Football Championship, adult football is starting this weekend. But them lads, you just know about them. They'll be wondering how many going to be trying to get on the Offaly senior panel that would have been trying to catch John Mahan and the selectors' eyes and make sure. Some of them, 3 of them were in there last year, 4, maybe 3 or 4, and some of them got a few trial matches here and there. So the lads would know quite a few of them already. So now it's about integrating them in over the next couple of years.
Yeah, Kieran, in fairness to him, for his age, was great. And big picture there, you'd be entitled to say, look, I've achieved my dreams, I'm done, I'm on the lash for the next 6 months here. But he was very clear about the bigger picture. So look, I know you'd be... sorry, go on.
Sorry, Joe, just on that, but that young fella, he had a very bad car crash last year, and he broke a bone in his neck, and he was in a brace for 12 or 14 weeks. And at one stage, it was doubtful, or there was a big doubt about whether he'd play football or not again. And then he came back and rehabbed so hard to get back. And then before the Leinster final, he pulled his hamstring, and he missed the All-Ireland semi-final, and he worked so hard over the last 6 weeks to get back for the final. And he's the captain of the team. Carl Dunno took over then, who was outstanding as well, but Kieran came in for the last 10 or 15 minutes. So that's the type of person that young man is. He's an amazing role model. So we're very lucky to have him.
Good on him. So look, I mean, you went in December 2019. I mean, it's a hell of a time to go in, given COVID in 2020, and now here we are in 21. And you said, seeing the hurlers go into the Christie Ring was a bit of a spur, and you just felt things could be done better. What kind of things have you tried to do? Like, what's changed behind the scenes? Because I know you'd be very wary of coming on here and saying, this is the Michael Duignan show and I've changed everything and I've rescued Offaly. I know you don't want to do that, but give us a sense of the things you felt could be done better and what you have done.
Well, look, everything is about people, in my opinion. And I've said this loads of times before. I had nothing against the people that were there before us, and they worked really hard and put in long hours, and they believed what they were doing was the right way. I didn't think it was. And a group of us came together, and like-minded people. I suppose you're looking at everything from top to bottom. And we have developed a strategic plan. We haven't printed it. We've been working through some of the things on it, like as our games programme. No, we were badly hit with COVID, as you said, but we had done our fixture for 2020, and we had more than doubled our underage games programme. We brought in, this year in Go Games, every year is catered for under 7, 8, 9, 10. There's no gap year like we used to have. We've got a couple of coaches on the ground that we didn't have, but we have a proposal gone to Leinster now for 6 more that we hope to have there's a meeting actually in Leinster Council tomorrow night.
Okay,
so we hope to have...
These are like the games promotion officers. We always hear Dublin is a load of them.
Yeah, well, we had a games manager, and we had a couple of GDAs, which were games development administrators, and they kind of cover the whole county or whatever. But the GPOs are specifically with clubs, and the clubs pay most of their salary. It'll be, I say, one club on their own, or a couple of clubs, 2 or 3 clubs. So Eden Derry had taken on one, Mairead Daly on her own for the club, big club, and then Bord Clarine and Drumcullen appointed Adrian Clancy. He's also selected for the under-21 hurling team, very experienced coach. So they joined the team, and Colin Mahan then joined us as a performance GDA earlier this year. We had lost a couple of people during COVID. So that's 5 we have. We've 6 more in the pipeline, hopefully in the next few weeks.
Right.
And then we think 2 or 3 more by next January. So that's what's going on. Our operations manager, Tom Maloney, who was with us for the last number of years, Tom retired a couple of weeks ago, and Tom had done great work in the county as well. So we have to fill that job and maybe an administration position along with that. So there are all sorts of structural things in the background. So we really haven't got into the schools or into the clubs in a huge way, but we have started to tip away. But I suppose, I would think COVID actually, while it brought challenges, you saw some of the issues around the country with people making little mistakes here and there. They just went training and they felt they shouldn't. But we said from day one, all our managers, from John Mahan, Michael Fennelly, Gary Cahill, Declan Kelly with the 20s, and Leo O'Connor and Ken Furlong with the minors, we said, no, lads, we're going to follow the guidelines, we're going to follow the regulations. But I said, let's get the lads to train on their own. Let's see where we can get the buy-in. Particularly the younger players, will they do it, will they not? And the minor hurlers and footballers that were in the Leinster finals, they were at a stage, as for young men at 16, 17 years of age, that they were doing their own training. They had an app then where they entered in the results, and they just went back to management. It was just seamless stuff. And we started to do a bit of online stuff with younger lads, and I think we used the time really, really well. And that sort of culture of doing things right and respecting the jersey, meaning what it means to play for Offaly. That's the big thing for me, that there was a lot of people out there maybe that wouldn't play or were coming in and not doing things they should be doing, and we had to change that culture, and that has changed, and it wouldn't work without the managers that we have, who are all excellent people.
Because I was reading a piece, Pat Nolan had it in the Mirror a while back. This was maybe just shortly after the under-20s had won the Leinster Championship, and he was saying other improvements have been like the relationship between players and the county board. So I don't know, was it you who really wanted to get into something like this? So he was writing in the Mirror, issues around gear and expenses for players are now dealt with speedily when previously they were placed on the longest of fingers. And there's a source here saying it all went electronic in the bank. Players got their money on the 14th of the month. If in doubt, they got it early. So the environment started to change, and whatever commitments that were per the charter were met. So the distrust of the county board was eradicated. Things like boot vouchers, football boot vouchers, were delivered on time. They were things that caused untold damage previously. So look, I know you don't want to.
Yeah, well, I don't think the other guy, the last admin, I think Pat might have meant in that things had
improved anyway. Right.
Had improved anyway.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Had improved. No,
I wasn't sure. It's not even clear in the piece. Was that you, or was that maybe before you?
No. To be fair to the lads, no. They a lot of those issues had been.
Right.
Yes, there would have been issues over the years, and maybe some of those people would have been involved, but things had improved certainly. But it's seamless with it's amazing to see when things are going well, I think, and you're doing things right, that none of these things come up for, like, you just do, like, money was tight, but the players have to be first. Like, it makes no sense to me that the players have to get their expenses, what little they do get, but their expenses and their gear and their nutrition and whatever else gear, whatever is needed, they have to get it when they're supposed to get it. And that would have to be number one with me in the job, and that is the way it is. But there has been no big demands from any players at any, wants the reason to be well looked after and move on and play hurling and football. And I think that's the thing, Joe, is that hurling and football, I think, is what we're talking about in Offaly again. And we're going to have, I think it's maybe important for us over the next few months to temper the expectation now, because we're going from the Christy Ring to Division 1. Like, we're in a group with Limerick and Tip and Cork and these teams next year. We're going up to Division 2 in football, and we saw the Derry game in Croke Park, where that's a gap that has to be closed very, very quickly, and we have a few months, and we're back to the club now. So trying to get the lads back together and ready for the league is going to be a challenge. Working on their own now for the next 6 months. On top of their club training, they're going to have to be obviously doing extra training that we're going to be ready for next year. So they're all the things, and I think it's obviously going to be hugely competitive, but we're going to be trying to stay up there. That's obviously where we're at. But this is I suppose I wouldn't have thought Kieran Dolan said 10 years to win a Leinster. Like I would have said, I think you can do things quicker, but it certainly is a couple of years. Like those lads that are 18, 19, you're not ready for inter-county. And even our hurling team, 11 of the starting team, I think, were under 23, but some of them were only 19 and 20 that were playing the Christy Ring.
Yeah. And
at the top level, you have to be most of your team have to be 22, 3, 4, 5 up along, you know what I mean? So it is going to take a while to keep them together, but there's a lot of talent there and they have a great attitude.
Well, there's some principle, I think, that people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10. So maybe you'll come in somewhere in between there. I wanted to ask you, because I remember you stood up in Congress and you were talking about various things, including finances, and you said at the time, in terms of team and player expenses, we received 96,000 in Offaly, Dublin received 388,000, we received 56,000 in operating grants, Dublin received 745,000 in just those two headings alone. That's €1 million worth of difference, which I think is very hard to justify. And obviously you were taking population into account as well, even with those figures. Is that, because you'd have a really good feel for this now, of the up-to-date happenings at Croke Park and funding, to what extent is that whole area improving for a county like Offaly?
I don't think it is. It is, Joe, because at the moment they can't. To be fair, like the COVID period, the money they've lost or whatever. We would have made a decision probably around that time. Like we're looking for coaches that we have to get on and do it ourselves if we have to. We have to get the funds in, and we have a good bit of stuff going on in the background on the sponsorship side. Obviously, Shane Lowry came on board. A number of people around the county donated money to us on the quiet over the last 6 months to keep the show on the road.
Right.
And we have gone, our clubs, as part of that GPO process, the clubs have to fill out a very detailed audit, which is actually, it's a fantastic document that James Devan and Alan Hall have devised in Leinster coaching. But to go through it's an A to Z of your club and where you are and what you're doing and how you're doing it and what you need to do. And then the club, as I said earlier, the clubs then have to contribute 20,000 towards the GPO, and we contribute towards it and Leinster contribute towards it. But it's actually, percentage-wise for GPO, most of it comes from, over half of it comes from the club. Then the rest is split between ourselves and Leinster. So it's actually not huge money for even 10 or 12 coaches. 100 grand to go a long way. So that's the type of support we're looking for. After that, our day-to-day, I'm hopeful by the end of the year that we will be in a position to do what we need to do in Offaly. I would have said when I came in that I thought we needed about 250, 300,000 a year extra on top of, say, our normal funding, which comes from Croke Park, Leinster, and your gates is obviously your big one. So I think we'll have additional sponsorship to meet that requirement by the end of the year. So we won't have a huge dependency. Once Leinster can employ these coaches for us and come up with that funding, I think we'll be self-sufficient after that.
Right, okay. And so that's just the way it works at county board level now. You take what you can from Croke Park, you have your gate receipts, and any other way you can generate revenue. And then a huge part of it, it's just the way of the world, it seems, is to raise the money yourself, either through fundraising or local business people or that kind of area. That's just the way of the world, and there's no getting away from that ultimately, do you think? Yeah,
but I think you can structure it. Like if you take your main sponsor, we've had Cairns with us for the last 30 years. We've boarded them on O'Connor Park. So you start working down, you have your senior football, senior hurling. So you have to try to put, I think, packages around the thing. We have a goal games, I think, so what we would hope to do is maybe have 10 or 12 invoices on the 1st of January. We're trying to do 3 to 5 year deals at the minute on all these sponsorship packages. So there's stability there that we know for the next 5 years that we have X amount coming in January in sponsorship. Fundraising, we saw it over the Grand Canal Walk. We had it there that earlier in the year. We raised over 200 grand. We split it with the clubs 50-50. It was amazing. We have huge support out there. And we have a couple of little ideas that are smallish in terms of maybe monthly contribution, that type of thing. So, and what you need to do is get that bedded down and forget about it, because I think, to be fair to our last county board and other county boards all over Ireland, and I've said this, it's very difficult when you're dealing with the sort of budgets and you don't have the experience. Like I have my own business. Derval Dolan came in as the treasurer. He's the chartered accountant. Colin Cummins, our county secretary, is a senior planner with the ESB. So we have a structure. We've lots of people with professional backgrounds. Brendan Jennings, the chair of our finance committee, he's the ex-managing partner in Delight. So we have these people in place now, and I think a lot of time and energy or way too much time and energy went into trying to balance the books. Like the pressure every month of coming up with large sums, because it costs a lot of money to run a county board. And if that's hanging over you day in, day out, you take your eye off the ball about hurling and football. That's what happened. So we want to box it off, have it, that we have a structure around it, that we have funding coming in, as I say, early in the year. Then we have our gates. We'll get our funding from Croke Park and Leinster, and we spend our time then concentrating on coaching and games and on club development and on trying to win hurling and football matches.
Okay. Well, listen, sounds great. I mean, I think we all have a soft spot for Offaly, so keep it going, and we'll talk to you again sometime. Thanks a million, Michael Duignan. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Joe. Thank you.
Come on.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
Taking time out to visit a healthcare professional isn't always convenient.
Okay, directions to my GP appointment.
Stand up, walk 3 meters to your couch.
That's why at Irish Life Health, we visit you.